Hello everybody, this is Crispy99 here, and then I'm uploading this video to give you guys just a quick walk down of essentially my controller test of Wardens of Avalon playtest. So these are essentially my controller settings that I currently have set up. If you guys had been following any of my streams, the last couple streams that had focused around this game, I had focused because I wanted to make sure that you are able to play this on controller for the most part. So I did so at a request of someone who wants me to upload this, so I figured I would just come back to it and just say here's what my current layout does look like, as I will be also uploading it up to Steam. So the inspiration when it comes to this is really a lot of using action layers that are essentially just key placeholders to replace to be able to essentially access more options while using essentially a modifier in that sense. The majority of the face buttons that you guys are going to see like right here around this one, especially around these two, are essentially just some standard attacks that you're most likely to hit, and usually these physical buttons are also going to take over as well. So mainly X, Y, and B here are mainly going to be your primary attack using that sub. If you're using my trigger here for the left trigger here, that will actually activate the spells associated in Y and B, just to make sure that the skills as well as my primary attack skills are normally set in that regard. The space key, I believe, since there is no jumping in the game, is currently defaulted to essentially being my dodge button, which if you choose to end up downloading and modifying this your layout, I can see where people would want to modify and use the B button, as that can be a little bit more handy for people who have experienced, you know, third-person perspective games and be able to play in that regard. And for the directional pad, I did something very similar, where essentially my entire I should say item set or equipment set is essentially down here. So the first half, typically I will have my more associated items here that I'll probably be using. In this case, since this is a very resource collecting kind of game, I have my hatchet, my pickaxe, as well as my sickle here as well, and my last item would be my healing item, especially if I get into a combat, just as a quick access without having to use any sort of action layer trigger and get confused in that regard. And so this initial first action layer that you'll see here, or I should say your primary layer here, is going to be your first 4 buttons, essentially your first number keys, while then when you're using again the left trigger as your modifier, you will have your second set of keys here that you can modify however you wish to, so to suit your needs. So for me, I kept my same item here, so this is my healing for my health, while number 8 is also going to be the same healing but for purity in that sense. So they are both associated, I believe, with this left thumb D-pad. And so that's the rationale that came to me when it came to essentially building around this. A lot of my inspiration when it came to using the modifier of the left trigger or the right trigger for shift modes really do come from Final Fantasy XIV's approach to essentially being able to stack skill spells on top of each other and being able to know exactly what you want to activate in that regard. And I'm just working within the limitations of what Steam has to offer at this point. In terms of interaction layers as well, let me see if I can pull this up and adjust it here for you. Give me a quick second. As you guys can see, I didn't really do too much when it comes to that. I believe I have a couple of escape keys as well. When it comes to that, there's really not too much of an alteration there. But for the most part, I try to essentially have the same modifiers and the same sort of rationale when it comes to this. One thing I do want to note when it comes to using this controller scheme is that in order to be able to really click on anything, you do have to remember that I do have the right joystick mouse set up in a way where you have to click the right stick in order to activate the camera mode and be able to essentially swivel around the character to see what you're trying to look at too. So bear that in mind, that if you end up needing to use the cursor later on that you have to deactivate that. The right click mouse is actually set as a toggle so that you can just kind of go in and out of the action mode. If you've ever played something like Guild Wars 2, where you can play by click, by a target-based system versus just using the action cam, that is kind of a similar mindset that I took in going to creating the essentially the camera control for that. So I just want to make this quick video just so that you guys have a full idea of this. It looks like it was only a 5-minute video. I'll try to do my best to answer any questions. If you can, leave them in the comments down below. If you guys like the video, and consider subscribing. I stream on RealCrispy99, and I hope that this video is helpful to you guys. All right, have a good one. Bye.